So the title of my presentation is Migration and Securitization in Eastern and Central Europe towards the construction of a Desecuritization roadmap. And my name is Dr. Dimari. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Department of Political Science of University of Crete. And what I chose to present to you today is an ongoing project, is a proposed project actually that I have sent for funding at the Marie Curie Fellowship. And despite the fact that it achieved a very high score, the funding did not suffice to fund this project. But I have also applied for in other institutions for funding, so I decided to present this today here. So I'm going to start with the research issue and the conceptual history. So taking as a starting point the Copenhagen School theory that the securitization constitutes the procedure through which an issue is constructed as a threat to a referent object, resulting to the adoption of emergency measures. The securitization is the exact opposite, that is the reversal or cure of securitization. And this is what this project aspires to do, to come up with a strategy to desecuritize migration in Southern, Eastern, and Central Europe. This idea came from, were inspired, in other words, from the results obtained by a research conducted by the Center of Human Rights of the Department of Political Science of our university in Crete. This research was conducted in 2019 and was titled The Identification and Categorization of Refugees in the Greek Productive System, with case studies the regions of Crete and Mytilene. These findings strongly support that the migrant refugee flows across the Greek territories in 2015 sparked a chain reaction in terms of institutionalized emergency measures for the management of migration in the country, constituting migration as a highly securitized. So, other than Greece, this situation has also affected other countries, such as the Central and Eastern European ones. Indeed, the international literature pertaining both to security aspects of migration in Greece as well as for CE countries suggests that migration is securitized. Therefore, tackling this issue is of great importance, both for the respect of human rights of migrants and refugees, as well as for the well-being of host societies. But how can we approach the elaboration of an evidence-based desecuritization strategy? In order to do so, the main question to answer would be, what is the political culture of securitization of migration? And in this case, what is the political culture of securitization of migration in selected countries from Eastern and Central Europe? What is of particular interest is that preliminary analysis of the findings of the aforementioned research suggests that the political culture of securitization of migrants and refugees is deeply embedded in societal security concerns pertaining to fears of otherness. What would be then the relation of security and political culture related patterns governing political answers to the management of migration of Greece with the political culture of countries of the CE? Greece's and the CE countries' political cultures are very much different. However, much of the securitization issues work in the same way for both. So despite the fact that the eastern half of Europe is deeply divided from many points of view, due to the fact that there are strong geographic patterns in ways people perceive religion, national identity, and key social issues in CE, with religion being a core component of identity making, this group of countries is of particular research interest. So I'm going to briefly mention the methodology that is proposed here, because I'm going to talk a bit more later on. So the proposed methodology is qualitative. Semi-structured interviews will be conducted with a number of political lead actors. And then content analysis will be conducted for the identification of security design, speech acts, and political culture related markers pertaining to security concerns. The quality and credibility of this proposed project lie in its necessity. The domino effect of securitization of migration in CE, in Greece and Europe overall, and the subsequent measures to tackle migration revolve around the dualism of security versus human rights. The current reality seems to tilt over security in expense of human rights, though. Thus, there is an urgent need for the securitization of migration strategies due to the intensity, the urgency, and the unstoppable nature of the migration phenomenon refugee crisis. So the quality and credibility of the project also lie in the capacity of this project to give form to a concrete securitization map of the selected CE countries in terms of backgrounds, that is political cultures, and aims, that is theory, policy making, collective perceptions, political discourse and leadership, political elite, and paving the way for further research and tangible policy interventions pertaining to the securitization frameworks. As far as the level of novelty is concerned, this proposed research is unique, cutting edge, very ambitious and policy-making oriented, tracing the political culture of the securitization of Lesbos, Samos, Chios, Kos, Chios, and Leros in comparison to the selected countries of the CE is a highly innovative undertake, as it has not yet been approached. Thus, any attempt to do so will lead to the mapping of the political culture of the securitization of migration in these 5 islands and the selected CE countries, and will also help shape a securitization strategy that could be a derivative and a synthesis of the different demands each country has due to its different, although similar, political culture. The most important aspect of this project's innovation is that the elaborated desecuritization strategy will potentially provide an evidence-based template for further provisional implementation in other areas, such as the selected CE countries. Overall, the originality and innovative aspects of the project can be summed up as such. The achievement of a deeper understanding of why EU principles and Schengen regulations are meeting different positions in these countries, and a better understanding of how immigration should be approached in public policy making by both EU and non-EU member countries, such that the migration issues in the EU immigration target countries could be met. So I'm now going to talk a bit more on the methodology that is proposed. So the proposed project will follow a 3-stage methodological strategy. The first stage involves literature review and study of secondary quantitative and qualitative data on the political culture of securitization of migration in the 5 islands and the selected CE countries, and a thorough literature review on the securitization of migration theory in relation to Greece, which is generally a very underdeveloped theory. Second, field research will be carried out in the 5 islands and the selected countries of the CE, including qualitative research, that is semi-structured interviews to 20 political elite actors in the 5 islands, and semi-structured interviews, again 20, to political elite actors in each one of the selected CE countries on whether and on what grounds they perceive migrants and refugees as a societal threat, as stated by the Copenhagen School. The third phase includes the elaboration of the securitization approach adapted to the case of Greece and the critical exploration of whether and under what conditions this framework could apply to the selected CE countries. So this research methodology is based on the following: the principles of qualitative research, primary and secondary, grounded theory as the key holistic analytical framework. It will make use of one data collection technique, namely qualitative. The research tool consists of semi-structured interviews to political elite actors that will be used as a basic research tool for identifying the political culture of the securitization of migration in the selected Greek islands and selected CE countries. The research process will be allocated by the refugee population structure in the different regions of the 5 islands and the selected CE countries in order to take into account the different demographical parameters. So the overall outcomes of the research and intervention will offer lucrative ground to plan the securitization strategy, taking into account the island's distinct characteristics, which will form the basis for the exploration of its implementation in other securitized areas, such as the selected CE countries. Last, a critical exploration will be carried out to assess whether the securitization framework of the 5 islands could be applied and under which conditions to the selected countries in the CE. Content analysis is going to be conducted then of the interviews based on the need of recording the ways in which political actors' critical cases are expressed on the topic under investigation and the ways they approach it. I don't want to tire you anymore. I'm just going to conclude by adding that there is going to be given appropriate consideration of inter and multidisciplinary and gender aspect in this project. First, interdisciplinarity is going to be taken into account, then multidisciplinarity, and then gender dimension, so that we can have a balance in the participants in this research. Thank you very much for your attention. As I already told you, this is an ongoing project. It is still a work in progress in writing, actually. And I would be really happy to hear any more suggestions on how to improve it. Thank you very much.